What's good, everybody? I am Keandre, this is Hoop Intellect, and welcome back to the channel. Now I'm back with yet another mock draft, the final one of the year. I told you how much I dislike doing these, but I think I might have put together my best one yet. Now, to be clear before we start, these picks aren't solely based upon what I would 100% do if I was in the situation. We've gotten a lot of information over the last several days about which team has worked out who, or interviewed certain guys, as well as rumors about who they're going to take. I used that along with roster fit, overall potential, and then a little bit of what I would do if I was making the pick. Now, I've been talking way too long, let's go ahead and get right into it. The Minnesota Timberwolves take LaMelo Ball with the number 1 pick. I don't think it's a great fit for him on or off the court, but Minnesota would be betting that his talent would carry him through. The Golden State Warriors take James Wiseman with the 2nd pick in the draft. Wiseman is a really good athlete and is a true center at 7'1". And with Wiggins on the team, they could use another player who's a better passer, or at least more comfortable with the ball than Wiseman. But we saw what Damian Jones and JaVale McGee did holding down that spot for the last couple years. I think Wiseman can immediately do that and grow into much more. At 3, the Charlotte Hornets have a few options. They need a big, but based on what feels like viable information from multiple sources, Anthony Edwards is the pick. I think Charlotte wants Wiseman pretty badly, so I wouldn't be surprised if they trade back if he's taken ahead of them. But at this point, I think Michael Jordan and James Borrego take the talented Edwards and try to fill in the gaps that he has in his game. The Bulls take Denny Avdia with the 4th pick in the draft. There's a lot of reports pointing to Chicago taking Denny at 4. He can play either forward position, is comfortable handling the ball, and a solid defender as well, and think he would fit into what the Bulls have going on. At 5, the Cleveland Cavaliers pick Obi Toppin. Now this is a pick that I definitely wouldn't make, but everything that we've heard coming out of Cleveland suggests that they're going to take Toppin on Wednesday's draft. I think there are some issues going in this direction when the future of your team is already in the hands of 2 small guards who aren't great defenders, but that seems who they're going with. Atlanta has the 6th pick and they take Tyrese Halliburton. Getting another guy who can make plays is key for this Hawks team. They had a ton of issues as a team in general, but when Trae Young wasn't on the floor, their offense turned into something like a 3rd grade playground. Halliburton has good size, is unselfish, and is good enough off the ball to play alongside Trae as well. The Detroit Pistons take Patrick Williams at number 7. His pre-draft interview and rumblings from sources closer to the team point to him having a promise or at least high interest from Detroit. They could really use a guard who could make plays for himself and others, but Williams' potential versatility is still pretty enticing. The 8th pick belongs to the New York Knicks, and they take Killian Hayes. Hayes falling to the Knicks would be a really great deal for them in my opinion. I think they need to clean this roster up and figure out what they're doing with Dennis Smith Jr. and Frank, but having RJ Barrett and Killian Hayes is certainly a great start to a Knicks organization that is in need of progress. Onyeka Okongwu goes to the Washington Wizards at number 9. This is a popular destination for Okongwu. He's a top 3 player for me, and I like his fit alongside Wall, Beal, and Rui Hachimura. Thomas Bryant might do some of the heavy lifting at first, but I think Okongwu's defensive ability will eventually earn him more minutes early on. The new look Suns take Tyrese Maxey here at number 10. With Chris Paul on the squad, I think Maxey makes sense as a backup. He can play both guard positions, create shots, and defend at a high level. He'll learn a ton from CP3 and Devin Booker, and I think he can contribute right away. They already have 2 young wings in Bridges and Cam Johnson, so I think they look for a veteran to help fill in that wing spot. The Spurs pick Sadiq Bey at 11. The reason I think San Antonio would take Bey here is they already have Lonnie Walker and Keldon Johnson, whose games are pretty similar to the other top prospects available. Bey is 6'8" and gives them some much needed versatility at that 4 spot. At 12, Sacramento takes Isaac Okoro. He's a multi-positional defender, he's unselfish, and can run in transition. With Bogdanovic gone, that gives a bit more clarity for this team going forward. Hopefully they figure out whatever is going on with Buddy and Luke Walton and choose the player, but whatever happens, I think Okoro complements the core of this team well. The Pelicans pick up Jalen Smith at 13. He's probably the ideal archetype of player to put alongside Zion. You probably need him to gain about 30 pounds to feel confident about him matching up with the bigger centers in the league, but outside of that, Smith fits really well in the Big Easy. Finishing off the lottery is the Boston Celtics. They pick Devin Vassell at 14. Vassell fell a bit further than most would expect for reasons of fit and preference. He's worked out and interviewed with the Celtics, and there's even been rumored interest in trading up to get him. Here he falls into their lap and makes their bench more formidable. The Orlando Magic have the 15th pick and take Kyra Lewis Jr. He recently worked out with the team, and it is said to have gone well for both sides. A Fultz and Lewis backcourt isn't the best on paper, and Lewis probably comes off the bench to start, but Orlando has been in need of some more dynamicity, and Lewis brings that. I don't really have a gauge on what Houston is going to do with this pick, considering the Harden and Westbrook rumors, but I think Precious Achiuwa is a solid pick regardless, and my highest rated player available. RJ Hampton is another name to watch if they have a definite plan on sending Harden and Westbrook on their way. The T-Wolves have their second pick of the draft at 17 and pair LaMelo Ball with Aaron Nesmith. If you're going to have guys like Melo, D'Lo, and Cat, you need players to complement them. Nesmith can shoot the pill and has good enough size to guard threes. The Mavericks take the hometown kid in RJ Hampton at 18. Hampton's a great athlete with really nice potential as a scorer. Not saying he'll get to that level, but he's Zach LaVine-ish in that way. I think this would be a good environment for RJ, and playing alongside Luka would be great for him. The Brooklyn Nets take Desmond Bane at 19. Now who knows if Brooklyn will be keeping this pick or what direction they're going in as a team, but Desmond Bane is the type of player I think they could use to complement their stars. Miami gets what I think is a steal at 20 with Cole Anthony. There are several reasons why he fell this far. Some to do with his game, some just organizational preference. But in this Miami organization, I think they get the most out of his talent, and he's been working out there lately. Philly gets a sniper with an edge in Tyrell Terry at 21. I love this pick. He can play on or off the ball, is steadily improving physically, and is super competitive. It's a really great compliment to Simmons and Embiid. Fresh off a Western Conference Finals run, the Nuggets pick Aleksej Pokusevski at 22. Poku has great potential, and there are a few organizations in the league with Denver's track record of developing it. He's also another Serbian player, and having a guy like Jokic as a teammate could be game changer for him. The Jazz take Teo Maledon with the 23rd pick in the draft. He's already showed and proved what he can do on the highest levels, and though he's not a knockdown shooter and might not ever be, he's a talented pick and roll player who has great size. I think with Maledon there, you have the potential of creating an appealing backcourt going forward. New Orleans owns the 24th pick in a trade with Milwaukee, and I think they take Josh Green here. Green has great size, he's a good athlete, and above all else projects as a good shooter. He can play the 2 or the 3, maybe even some 4 at times. It gives him somebody who can be effective without the ball. The first of Oklahoma City's picks is at 25, and they pick up Jaden McDaniels. If I was Sam Presti in this situation, you wouldn't be able to tell me anything for at least the next 48 hours after picking up McDaniels at 25. Nah, but in all seriousness, McDaniels is super talented and will have a lot of time to grow and focus on realizing that potential in Oklahoma City. Boston takes Tyler Bay at 26. I really don't think there's any way Boston leaves Wednesday night with more than 2 rookies they're going to sign to their roster. They already have Grant Williams, who I like, but I think Bay is the most valuable in this position, and you kind of got to take him to make it more realistic for the trades that'll likely occur. The Knicks bring in Jamias Ramsey at 27. Killian Hayes, Jamias Ramsey, and RJ Barrett is a pretty good start to something. I don't know what, but I think Tibbs can work with all of their skill sets. OKC selects Zeke Naji with their second pick at number 28. They just acquired this in the Dennis Schroeder trade, and I like what Naji could add to a SGA, Baisley, Dort, and McDaniels group. Toronto chooses Elijah Hughes with the 29th pick in the draft. First priority for them should be keeping Van Vliet, but from there they've got options. With Hughes, they get a wing who can create his own shot, hit threes, and even make plays for others. And with the Terrence Davis situation going on, it makes even more sense. Finishing off the first round, Boston takes Vernon Carey Jr. to hopefully be that inside presence or at least scorer that they've been looking for. Now that we've finished the first round of the draft, we'll go through a good portion of the second round and recap a little bit of how each team did at the end just for brevity and time purposes. Starting off the second round, we have the Mavericks picking Robert Woodard. His size and ability at that 3-4 tweener spot is a position of need for this team. Robert Woodard fits and gives them more versatility alongside a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith. The Hornets grab Trey Jones at 32. I think he perfectly balances the type of players you have on this roster. He makes great decisions, takes care of the ball, is a hard-nosed defender, and someone whose shot is steadily improving, and he might be able to unlock some of that talent in the second unit with his playmaking ability. Minnesota takes Xavier Tillman at 33. He's the type of player you need with this current roster. He's about his business, takes pride in the defensive end of the floor, and goes hard. Philly gets another shooter at 34 with Emmanuel Quickley, and Sacramento gets Grant Riller as an instant bench scoring boost at 35. And Philly comes back at 36 and grabs Jordan Nwora, Another guy who can really shoot it but has good size at 6'7". The Wizards come away with really great value getting Malachi Flynn. He's someone I think has first round talent and potential, but the way this draft is, he could easily fall into the 30s. I love what he'd bring to this Wizards squad looking to get back into the playoffs. Here come the bigs at 40 and 41, with Isaiah Stewart headed to Memphis and the Spurs taking Daniel Oturu at 41. Both teams could use their presence inside. At 44, the Bulls pick up Cassius Winston. He's another great value pick who has a good chance of going higher. I think his IQ and unselfish nature is well needed on this Bulls roster that features some gunners. Orlando grabs Tyshawn Alexander at 45, giving them someone who can space the floor. And he adds some consistency to a two-guard rotation that has lacked that at times. Portland has been intrigued by Jay Scrubb's game for a long time, and that's who they take here. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Scrubs sneaks into the first round or in the early second and shocks some fans on draft day. Philly grabs yet another shooter in Isaiah Joe at 49. I feel like you could say this about a lot of players until we get into about the early 50s, but this is unusual for a class to have this many really solid prospects this late. The Warriors get Nico Mannion at 51. I'm not as high on Mannion as some other people, but I don't think there's a huge gap between him and some of the other guards taken in the 30s and 40s. It just happened to work out this way. With the 53rd pick, Oklahoma City takes Marcus Howard. Howard's scoring ability is worth taking a risk on, especially when you have a roster full of guys with high defensive potential and that man Lou Dort. Brooklyn definitely doesn't need this pick, so they swing for the fences and take Josh Hall. Hall is a prep to pro prospect out of Moravian Prep. He's 6'9" with guard skills. I don't think he's ready for the league, but he's a developmental piece that could be a valuable asset for Brooklyn down the line. The Hornets finished off their draft with Udoka Azubuike, another guy who could go higher based on team preference, but I personally would love for him to find his way to Charlotte. The Sixers grabbed Nate Henson with their last selection. They've got a logjam of players in general, so nobody really fits if this is how everything actually happened. And finally, Toronto and New Orleans finish off the draft with two intriguing international prospects. The Raptors getting Kareem Mane at 59, and the Pelicans take Paul Ibua at 60. Now that we've finished, let's take a look back at how everybody did in this draft. Guys like Mason Jones, Skylar Mays, Miles Powell, Miam Madar, Saban Lee, Najee Marshall, and a few others should get scooped up immediately if they don't happen to get picked. Like I mentioned before, this class doesn't have those surefire superstar guys, but it's really deep. Everyone I just listed could get drafted in various parts of the second round. It'll just come down to preference and team availability. Looking back at this mock, I really like what the Kings did bringing in Okoro, Riller, Bolmaro, and Merrill. All of them probably wouldn't be on their NBA roster, but you add some offensive burst off the bench and a potential high impact player in Okoro. Philly grabbed a ton of shooters to hopefully find a few that stick, and Tyrell Terry, who should shine next to those stars. And then you've got a team like the Knicks that hopefully heads in the right direction, getting Hayes, Ramsey, and Paul Reed, while the Thunder look to maximize the potential of McDaniels, Najee, and hopefully find success with one of the NCAA's greatest scorers ever in Marcus Howard. And lastly, Charlotte comes away with a really nice group of Anthony Edwards, Trey Jones, and Udoka Azubuike to hopefully make strides towards the postseason. As always, thanks for watching and supporting the channel. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and we've got more basketball content on the way as we progress past draft season. I'm Keandre, this is Hoop Intellect, and I'm out.